the loan guys are like, what, you're gonna catch them with the boot? I'm like, well, you'll see. It's not exactly with the boot, it's the components of the boot. So welcome back. Reenacting a setup I did for a loan. They basically just wanted to see me set up snares. They gave me the option to use whatever tactics I wanted. It sounded like most of the contestants were just going with the straight up wire snares. I told them, go ahead and just pretend like I'm just a regular day hiker. I got a little lost. I know I'm going to be out in the woods for a couple days. I only got a day's worth of trail mix, and I got my hydration pack here. So water's good, but I got basically just my fire starting kit, survival blanket, my EDC knife, it's always with me, and then my boots. Most day hikers, they're not going to have snare wire or multipliers or any of that stuff. At least not most of the people that I've talked to or I run into. They're out there just to enjoy nature, take pictures, and get fresh air. I'm hoping this will help all the general audience out there should they get into that situation. Should you find yourself lost and you need nutrition, you know that you may be out there for a few days. We're gonna go with the assumption that there's gonna be lots of squirrels, right? You've seen this on a loan where it's pretty much given if there's trees, right? Like over here. So there's trees, and you got a down trunk or branch, and it's diagonal. And squirrels, just like humans, animals are just like humans, right? They're always gonna go to the path of least resistance, right? So they're gonna go up here instead of climbing straight up here. You're gonna use this as their stairway. So even if you don't see this, you can actually just place logs at an angle like this. First things first, we need to find 2 forked sticks, right? I need 2 forked sticks, because you can start off with straight sticks, but like I said, my Mongol way is take whatever nature already formed for you. So a lot of guys will look for straight sticks for snares. That's where I deviate. I deviate with that a lot. I've never seen people use with the snare tactics I use. I'm hoping that this will help you guys. Just think outside the box and maybe create something even more effective, right? So I think I'm gonna take this, right? I'm gonna use this. This is a fork. You see this fork here? So we're gonna, okay. Something that I do that's different than a lot of guys who make these natural snares is I do actually look for rough sticks. I don't look for smooth snare components, right? As far as the friction triggers, right? I don't look for that all the time. Sometimes you will need that, but you might as well get something with some roughage on it, and I'll show you why later. There's a branch here, so we're gonna go get this. I'm just going to, here's another fork, right? So I'm just gonna try to just take this bottom fork. Okay, so another fork, and you see, like I said, there's roughage here, right? It's rough. There's lichen and stuff growing on this old fork branch. So let's go back to our little squirrel stairway here. Every time you set up something using nature, but it's always going to be off the cuff, right? So what sets us apart from any other creature on this planet, on this earth right now, is our creative thinking ability, right? Our imagination, right? So you got these 2 forked limbs. So all I'm doing is I'm just visualizing right now. I'm thinking about efficiency. I'm thinking about this nature providing that's already there, that I don't have to spend any more additional effort to create, right? So you got these 2 forks. Now I'm gonna put this on the bottom, and then I'm gonna try to visualize, right? Now I'm gonna visualize putting this one on the bottom, this one on the top, right? Like I told you with my fly fishing build and those other builds, you just have to understand the concept. So the concept is you need to make a trigger system. The trigger system works on friction on each side of the trap, right? If you're using like a trigger stick, right? I'm trying to see if there's already a natural friction trigger system on this, right? So it's catching on this side, nothing catching on this side. There's a lot of friction action going on this side, right? And this side's fairly smooth, nothing catching on this side. On this side, there's multiple catch points, okay? So I'm gonna decide, I'm gonna make this my actual trigger. This is gonna be basically like a component that holds the trap together, okay? So, and this is the trigger that's gonna be put on my spring pole. And I'll tell you why I'm setting a spring pole and not just a regular snare loop. So I'll let you know in a second why I'm doing this. Since this is the trigger system, I'm gonna go ahead and lighten it up. You want the trigger is going to be attached to your engine or your spring pole. It's called an engine, in physics, but so a spring pole, right? So you want to lighten this as much as possible. You want to like have the engine to have the least amount of resistance so that it can create the most amount of force, right? So we're going to lighten this up. We'll leave this here. So unlike a lot of what a lot of guys do, where they just kind of strip everything down and clean it all up, make it look all pretty, I actually like it natural because it's more inviting to the animals. It looks more natural. And you also see the other advantages in a little bit, okay? So I'm just gonna let you know that. I'm probably gonna take this off though, just because I don't want to catch with the string, right? So I'm just gonna break that off. But as you can see, it's really rough. It's got the lichen, the bark, and a lot of these little nubs. Yeah, you wanna keep all those nubs there. There's no reason to take it off at this point. This is gonna be the bottom half of the trap, okay? And this is the very heavy section, so I'm gonna lighten this up. But you see these nubs, all these little nubs? Yeah, keep those nubs. They'll make your life easier. Everybody that sets traps, they always seem to like shave all this off. Don't do that. Be efficient, okay? Nature's helping you right now. This is pretty brittle, so I'm afraid if I try to break it off here without making a cut, it's gonna break one of these forks off, which I need. So the forks are what we're really looking for, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead. So I'm just cutting around the circumference here, just to give it a break point. Okay, all right. And this is why I love this knife, one-handed all the time. So I don't know if you've seen my other video about streamlining, but see this knife is always here. You see that? And it's right there, okay? One-handed, okay? So, do a little karate chop, see? Don't mess with me. I know bushcraft karate, okay? So, all right. Okay, so now we got our trigger stick. And then we need to figure out the length. That the more weight we can take off the trigger that's attached to your engine, the more efficient the engine's gonna be, right? Yeah, so you kind of want the opening to be squirrel sized, right? So I would say like that. So the advantage of this system versus just putting a snare right here is that it forces them to go through. Versus a snare, they might go just step right around it or to the side or just hop it. But if you got something like these two V's, this V here, they're just gonna go through. Just because, like I told you, they're gonna go through the path of least resistance, and this looks natural. To them, it's a safe entry, okay? And it's a place they can hide. They're gonna be like, well, I can hide in there. If the hawk comes, I can at least have this stick in between me, right? So that's what you gotta understand how animals think, right? So you understand those concepts, and then you're good to go in the woods. So this is already gonna catch. So now I just gotta make a catch point on this side here, right? I'm gonna start carving a notch here. Okay, I'm gonna carve a notch here. So let's take out my knife and let's carve a notch. And you want the notch to be like 90 degrees normally, unless you want like a super hair trigger. But this will be already a pretty sensitive trigger system. Okay, so, and this is where you want to be careful. Don't rush on the notch, because it's easy to just go completely through and then you got to start with another branch. I like my notches tapered, so I'll show you in a minute what I mean. And like in this case, I actually like my notches to keep the feathering of the. I like to keep the feathering of the wood as I slice into it. It just creates tension, you know. Unless they create too much friction, and then you can just cut them off. But basically, yeah. If you look there, you see how it tapers. So it goes from shallow to deeper. So it's going to be like this, right? Yeah. So your trigger is going to just lay right in there, right? So I'm just going to see if that's deep enough. And you see how it's got the little wood curls there? I just leave them there because sometimes they're very helpful in adjusting the tension. So you can start chopping them off if the trigger is not light enough. So let's see if we can make this work without having to touch this at all. Because like I said, I'm about efficiency. I don't care about how it looks or all that stuff. I just want to eat. You see how it's almost catching, right? Okay. It's almost catch. I don't really carve too much more either because I'm already like almost halfway through. So I'm gonna go ahead and carve into this trigger mechanism. I just need to put it together to see where I need to carve into. So the good thing about leaving all the knots and stuff is that they're kind of visual indicators. Right? So I'm gonna go ahead and just make a flat point because it just needs a flat spot. Basically the round part is just rolling right off. So all you gotta do is flatten it. And before you cut too much off, you wanna just cut a little bit and then mesh them back together to see if you got the right spot. Sometimes instead of being right where I cut it, you gotta do it down here, over here. So yeah, the rotation might be off. Don't commit to it yet. You just wanna experiment. I'm pulling real hard on it, okay? So I think that's gonna work, because you don't want it to be so, so meshed together that it takes a whole bunch of force. You're dealing with a small animal, so you want to be really as light as possible. Okay, so you can always carve in deeper, but always start as shallow as possible. Bottom piece, top piece. Okay, now I'm gonna take the laces off my boots, right? So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so I got the laces off here, right? Yeah, and like I said, this is geared towards just your average hiker. Most hikers are really not hunters. A lot of them actually probably kind of are anti-hunting. I don't know, but I want them to be able to survive should they, get stuck out there and all they see is a bunch of squirrels, right? So, they're not going to know all these special knots. So I'm just going to use common knots, just so you guys know that you don't need to be a Boy Scout or something. A knot's a knot, man. As long as the rope holds, that's all that matters. So I'm going to show you how to do the snare knot, and it's super easy. So all this is be super basic. There's really no wrong way. If you catch the animal, you did it the right way. Okay, this is going to be the snare end, right? So you double it over, and that end's like 4 inches, right? So you double it over and then do an overhead knot like that. Oh, it's mosquitoes. Ooh, mosquitoes are fierce. Okay, you got that like that. Okay, just one overhand knot. It's not gonna move, right? You get the loop, and then you just make a circle like that, right? Okay. So in that circle, it's like a double loop circle. You just stick the other end in there, okay? And then that gives you your snare knot, right? The old school way, the super simple way, is you got your knot, you just tie it right with the overhand, the loop. You can just go like this, okay? So now you got a snare, right? You just go like this. But you see how this loosens up? So it just loosens up, right? For me, if all I gotta do is take that, right, take that and form that double O, the other end in there. Okay, now when you pull this, you see how it cinches here? It doesn't get loose like that. That'll like cut off my circulation and it's not loose, right? So it just cinches up on itself. Okay, so just by making it go through there like that, that gives it more keeping power. Okay, so I think it's worth it just to make that double loop. And then we need to make our cordage longer. Okay, depends on where your engine is, right? So I think my engine will need a longer cordage because it's gonna be right above me. So instead of looking around for like a sapling or something, you don't need that. Like nature has it right there. It's right in front of you. So just think outside the box, right? You don't need a spring pole or something. So I'm here. There's a tree here, right? So what do trees have? They got branches. See, they got branches, right? So they got a branch right there, right? So okay, here's my natural spring pole. You see that? That's a natural spring pole right there. I don't got to go cut another branch. I don't need to stake it in the ground. Okay, it's right there. So now go ahead and attach this shoelace onto there to make a spring pole. This is gonna be my engine. Okay, this is pretty springy. So I'm just gonna grab that. And then I'm just gonna wrap this a few times. Once you get enough wraps on there, it's not gonna unravel. So I'm just gonna do like a loose little shoelace bow knot, right? Just so I can adjust it. So this is just to help me have control of this for right now. Now you know why that's just loosely wrapped. I was just gauging the spring power and everything. So that's definitely more enough. The angle of the rope is good. Okay, so now what you wanna do is gauge how big a loop this you need to adjust this for, right? I want you guys to see how I set these up. Okay, you see how on this side, the catch is on this side, so my trigger mechanism catches on this side, right? On this side, at the upper level of the elevation, right? Basically, to trigger this, it would be a twisting motion. Okay, it's a twisting motion like this. It's not just a slip motion going like this. Okay, and the reason for that is you don't know if that squirrel decides to go over there on that tree and then come over here and come down. If it's designed to be triggered with, let's say, if I made it like this and it was designed to be triggered if the squirrel goes up the limb, if I put both of the notches on this top side here, and basically the squirrel would basically push this way in order to set it off, I would miss this one all the time, every time they came down. So by making it a twist activated trigger, if they go up or down, you'll catch them. So you don't need to like worry about, oh, I hope he's going up the ladder instead of down the ladder. And now it's multi-directional trigger. Okay, so it'll twist. So up or down, he'll set it off. Okay, so I hope that makes sense to you guys. Okay, so now you see why I said keep all the nubs, keep it rough, because now you need to attach this onto the trigger stick. I like to actually just wrap it. That allows you to that makes it a little bit more sure. So I just wrap it like 2 or 3 times over. Okay, so just wrap it 2 or 3 times, just like that, right? Okay, so just as you see, it's wrapped. And all you gotta do, no special knots. Okay, all you gotta do is this. Okay, you're just using friction around this branch. Okay, so I just basically overhand knot right there. Okay, just like that. So you don't need to know all the special stuff that a lot of people kind of emphasize. You just need to know the concept. So that the nice thing about the fork trigger system is you can make it extra secure. Like if you're not getting a lot of friction here, you can just basically go like this, or you can even just by manipulating this on the back towards the front, you can manipulate the force pull up the front. It's going to make it more go like this. If you did this, your trigger is going to want to go this way. Okay, so the fork system is much more versatile than a straight trigger. So I hope you understand what I'm saying. So you see how it just naturally goes forward, because where it's tied, where it ends is forward. But if I want it to get more flipped this way, and then I just put the string to make the string come out the back. Okay, so that's just the beauty of it. So right now I'll just try it like this, see how that works. Go this way. Yeah, and like I said, this fork system is really great because it allows you to use any of the forks to orientate the loop, versus a straight system, you don't have that. And then, like I said about the rough sections, so since everything's rough, it holds onto the shoelace, so it keeps the shape. Okay, if it was all smooth, it would just slide off. So you want all of that assistance as far as keeping the loop open. Okay, so this is like perfect. So that's perfect as far as how you want it. And sometimes you can play around with the position of the trap on the pole. So there might be better positions for the trigger to work properly. So let's see. Ooh, okay. Okay. So it's got a really good engine system. Okay. So Always stay out of the path of the pole, otherwise you lose an eye or get poked in the throat. Something very unpleasant or deadly, okay? That's the only bad thing about dealing with engine systems is that if it's powerful, you could be risking life and limb. So I made this a little bit more powerful than it probably should have been, but I like overkill. Okay. So like I said, the beauty of the Y stick is the fact that it facilitates holding your loop. Okay, so I got all this friction on these two Y sticks, the moss and the bark. Okay, and if I need to, I could just put branches on it. Okay, so just like that. So just like that, okay? So now it's set, okay? So I'm gonna step away. So you can see it's set. Let's see here. Yeah. So if you're a critter, you're going up through there, okay? So once again, I'm going to show you the beauty of this Y system, okay? So let's say you really want to increase your chances, all right? So what you want to do is just create a guidance system, okay? So there's a gap here where they might go through, right? So all you gotta do, since you got this Y stick here holding it, you create a block. It's just a visual block. It doesn't have to be real strong, okay? It's just a visual block. So once again, now as a squirrel, you're going up here. And what's the most appealing, least resistance path is just go right through here. You're not going to try to go around this side here. You're going to go right through there, okay? And that's what we're trying to do. We're creating just for one, this adding these leaves now gives them a little bit of security. You know, not only are they and now they're like, well, if I'm exposed on this branch, I have this little area I can hide from hawks and stuff, right? So it makes it more appealing to them, you know. So that's what we're doing. Okay, so once again, if you look at, so on this side, the trigger's on this side of the stick. And then over here, the trigger is on this side. So whichever direction the squirrel goes on, it's gonna trigger this, okay? So let's get our little wooden squirrel here. So let's see, he's walking up through here. You're gonna stick his head in through here. Right, there you go. And you got yourself a snared squirrel. Okay, so let's try it from the other side. Squirrel. So once you got this all figured out, it's easy to reset. Like the whole initial setup process is kind of a pain. And most traps are, because you know you got to tinker with the trap tension and all that stuff. But once you got your grooves and stuff all picked out properly, and your spring pull and all your trigger mechanisms properly set, and then it's really easy. And then it's easy to set up. It's just the initial setup. But once you get it all set up, the proper tension and everything, then you're good, okay? So once again, I'm gonna go ahead and, so like I said, that fork system is awesome because you can really customize how you set this up, how this loop is, because that's honestly like the most important part of a trap system of a snare system is just the loop. And keeping that loop in the proper position is the hardest part. But if you're using this Y system, you're creating a triangular opening that you can also stuff things inside to help keep that loop at the exact position you want. Okay, so that's like the whole beauty of this system versus just a straight stick system. So yeah, I just want you guys to, hope you guys learn something out of this here. And I can even put it right there, because those twigs are not going to interfere. That branch isn't going to interfere. And then I'm going to be like, well, I need to keep it more open. I'm going to use this branch to keep that open. Okay, there. Okay, and then I'm going to press all this down. And I'm going to actually remove that leaf. So I don't want to like block the hole. I'm just using I'm just using the stems to keep this open. I want to guide them in the hole. Okay. 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 So let's go in from the other side. So now see if the trigger system works from the opposite side, right? So I'm the squirrel. Okay, I'm the squirrel. I'm going through here. So I'm guided. It's guiding me through there, right? There you go. Okay. So now I'm going to explain to you why I went through all the trouble having a snare system. For one, we're not messing around, right? We're gonna, we're lost and we need food. So a spring pull system is gonna up your odds of catching the animal. They won't get caught in the snare. They'll feel a little tension and then they'll back out. And also the most important point is we're not using snare wire, or we're not using like a trap line, which are slicker. The shoelaces are designed so that when you tie them in a knot, they don't come apart. They're not designed to be super slick. And so if I'm a squirrel and you're expecting me to get caught here, I got to pull quite a bit to really get it to go, because there's a lot of friction on this shoelace material. Especially hiking boots. They're thick and they're designed to just like not really slide, because they're designed so they won't become loose. And so they're not slick like snare line or snare wire. Okay, so that's why we're using a spring pull. So that's the big emphasis, and we want to increase our odds. So even if you're using a trap line, you have more chance of success if you have an engine or a spring pull of some sort to really yank on that animal. And also doing it this way keeps it away from predators. That they have to work a little extra hard to get that squirrel off of the branch that it's hanging from. Okay, so yeah, I hope you guys learned something. Like I said, all basic stuff. Anybody can do this, and I hope you guys keep this in mind in case you ever get lost. I hope that never happens, but I hope this helps you if you do. Okay, so once again, thanks for watching.